Welcome to Breaking It Down. I'm your host, Skyar Balog. Today we're interviewing Montmorency County Treasurer Cheri Eggett. Cheri, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Cheri is running for County Treasurer once again. What's your background, Cheri? Before Treasurer.
Before Treasurer, I worked in industrial construction, project management type things. So we worked with $1 million budgets, $250 million budgets.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so the financial history is there, the financial experience is there for.
Now, is that like Michigan based or is that like nationwide?
Nationwide. We worked all over the place and went all over the country.
How did you get involved? I mean, did you just move back here and then decide Treasurer was your office, or how did that work?
I did. I moved back here. I wanted to stay in the area. So I have grandchildren I wanted to see growing up, and they've done that already. It seems like too fast. But, yeah, I had, plus I was born and raised in Montmorency County in Atlanta and Hillman. So most of you actually do know me. The name is unfamiliar, the Eggett name. But I was Cheri Orm, that's my maiden name, and Cheri Fish was my married name for many, many years. So a lot of people, like I said, actually do know who I am when they see me.
And you've been treasurer for how long?
4 years.
Okay, so you got elected in 2020?
I did, as a write-in.
Okay, as a write-in, wow.
Yes.
And that was a county-wide position, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
How did you pull that off? That's it. Write-ins are hard enough, a county-wide is even harder.
There wasn't anyone on the ballot that year.
Okay.
But there was another write-in candidate.
But you did get thousands of votes, did you not? Or for the county?
I don't remember exactly what they were.
Okay. And so you are now running as a Republican, or you were? Or?
I ran as a Republican in the primary,
Okay.
and we only had about 30% of people vote.
Oh, gee whiz.
So part of the reason I'm running again is it's, number one, too important to just walk away from. And number two, we're looking at another 5,000 to 6,000 people voting in the November election. So it's a whole new ballgame again.
So 30% of the voters in Montmorency decided the election? Am I hearing that
Yes.
correct? Or, okay, wow.
Decided the primary election anyway. Yeah.
And Montmorency County, I mean, that's not really a Democrat county. Is there even a Democrat candidate running?
No, there is not a Democrat candidate.
So pretty much you win the primary, you're kind of coasting to victory essentially, or at least that's how normally it is.
Yes, unless you have a write-in, challenge you. So.
And so,
the election's not over until November 5th. That's the election day.
Well, and I want to get to why you're running as a write-in now. But I guess, what was your experience as treasurer? What did you run into? Kind of what were the issues when you first rolled into office in 2021?
Well, I think we needed to update, maybe come into the, this century. One of the first things I did was make the availability to pay your taxes online. Your delinquent property taxes or any prior years from that. There were a lot of pushback. I think I was a big change for a lot of the establishment that was there and has been there for years. So I did get a lot of pushback for the changes I was making, not just in my office, but throughout the county.
Now, is that something, I mean, was that more like cleanup stuff, or how does that work when you move in there like that? What are you changing right away when you come in that I guess shakes people up a little bit? I mean, I guess.
Well, having to learn the position, because unless you've been a county treasurer, you don't know, exactly what's going on. So, in the process of learning, I brought things out that were maybe not done correctly for a while, and so when you say, well, this is how you do it, and here's the statute that tells you how to do it. Sometimes, like I said, the established people go, well, that's not how we've done it. Well, I understand that, but it doesn't mean it's not how it shouldn't have been done. You should have probably been doing this because this is what it tells you to do. And there was just a lot of, like I said, a lot of pushback for that, a lot of, I don't know, how do you describe, uneasiness, because they, I guess, maybe unintentionally made them feel like they hadn't been, keeping up with stuff or something. I'm not sure. So
people had a problem balancing their budgets, and they had a problem with people paying their taxes online. I guess I'm not sure how, as a voter, how that would be problematic. I don't. That sounds like you're doing your job.
Yeah, correct, correct. And asking someone to do the job correctly, and asking for things that, a good example. I'm just going to give you this example. Our county mechanic, we paid for part of his tools. but we didn't have a written agreement. We didn't have anything that that was lawful and legal, in that. And you can't do that, with public money. You can't pay for a private individual's tools, even if he is working for the county. So I asked that they get a legal agreement signed. And we went to our lawyers and we had an agreement drawn up, and I didn't say you have to stop doing it. I said you need to do it correctly. And he refused ultimately. So we stopped paying for the tools. I mean, so it did get resolved, but I have a hard time understanding why, you just don't want to do it legally and correctly.
So you feel you fought the system and the system kind of fought back.
Yes,
is that kind
absolutely.
of a fair, okay.
Absolutely.
And yet you tried to run again, so you must have kind of liked fighting, or I mean, there's something in it.
I got, I streamlined the office itself, and like I said, brought things out. There were definitely accomplishments made, during that 4 years, and now, like I said, the office itself is running like a well-oiled machine, so I don't want to leave it. I don't want it to see that turned upside down.
Well, and I guess so if you're cleaning it up, and surely the voters would see that, I guess what did happen with your election? Why are you not coasting to victory right now?
Well, there was a huge campaign by the other candidate, and was supported by the establishment that is there. And then, like I said, we had, and I'll take the credit or discredit for not maybe educating my supporters on how important the primary was. Because the primary is very important. That's who ends up on the ballot. It's not the end of the race, like I said, because what you win in the primary is the right to have your name on the ballot in the party that you chose. And as a Republican, I ran in that. I was a little bit slower getting going. I had some major losses, some family losses right at the beginning, so that could have factored in, I'm sure. So like I said, I was a little slower getting my campaign going.
So why do you feel that you need to run as a write-in candidate now?
Because like I said, I think it's too important to give up. I think it's too important of a job. There are things like the foreclosure avoidance that are so important, and there are agreements made with people, and I have a concern that they may not continue if with a new treasurer, and we don't know how well they will push that issue. I mean, I do everything I can, and I hope that people will contact your county treasurer if you're in trouble with your taxes and about to lose your property. Definitely contact your treasurer and let her know, because they can do things. They can work with you. They can make agreements. They can help you find places to help you pay. My half we partnered with while I was in office, and they paid for a lot of delinquent property taxes and people who were about to be foreclosed on. So we were able to save them from being foreclosed on. And I think that's important. I think it's important that people keep their property and their rights. That's their right to have that. And, we all had trouble, especially, with COVID. People had trouble. So it's still important that we be able to safeguard that property for them.
Now, it appears, and correct me if I'm wrong, that the candidate that did win the primary, the Republican primary, because you ran as a Republican and you are a Republican?
Yes.
Is that, okay. She's going to be on the ballot twice in Montmorency County? Is that?
Yes, she will be on the ballot in the county treasurer's race and in a school board, the Atlanta school board race.
How can you be on the ballot twice? I guess I don't understand that.
You can if it is not an incompatible office, but if you know enough about the treasurer's office, then you know immediately it's incompatible. That you cannot be on the ballot or even actually file for those two positions because of the incompatibility.
How does it not get caught, I guess, though? How do you end up on the ballot twice? Shouldn't there be a process to stop that if they're incompatible, I guess? I mean, how does that...
There should be, and there is, and that is up to your county clerk. So
did the county clerk of Montmorency drop the ball? I mean, I guess I'm not sure. You would think you would notice. I'm just thinking there's so many names on the ballot. I've been on the ballot. I never thought of running on the ballot twice.
Right. The problem is filing for both offices, and the law says that if you file for both offices and you don't withdraw from one or the other if they're incompatible. So you have to, as a candidate, make that determination, are they incompatible? And like I said, in this case, I believe that there was just not enough knowledge of what happens in that treasurer's office to realize that was an incompatible position. But the law says if you file for both and you do not withdraw within a deadline date, then you are disqualified from both.
Doesn't the county clerk, though, I mean, hasn't she been in there for over 20 years? You would think after that many years you would know.
Yes, and I really can't answer as to why,
Okay.
The ball was dropped. I don't know that.
So what's the remedy, I guess? Because if I'm a voter and she's on the ballot twice, which one am I voting for, I guess?
You may end up not voting for either, because neither one may count. So it is definitely a disenfranchisement of the voter to have a name on there twice in incompatible offices. Like I said, as far as, if I were not going to vote for myself, obviously, I would be wondering the same thing. Where do I place my vote? And is it going to count at all?
So, and you say, is it going to count, or is it going to count at all? I mean, who decides it at the end of the day? Where does that end, where one way or the other if your vote counted?
That will be determined by a judge. I have filed a suit against the county clerk. So a judge will make that determination.
Okay. And will the voters know that decision before Election Day? I mean, what about the people running in both races too, I guess? I just feel like there's so many questions with that.
There are a lot. And I don't know if they will know before Election Day. We do have a court hearing October 28th. And but it's a motion hearing. We still don't know. I just recently filed, so I'm not sure if our 26th Circuit Court judge will recuse himself or if he will be hearing this case. We don't know any of that yet.
So I guess on Election Day then, for the treasurer's office, it's either the one that won the primary or you. Is there any other candidates involved?
Not that I'm aware of. And they do have until the 25th, I think, to file as a write-in.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
But no, it's just myself as a write-in and the candidate that's on the ballot.
And if the votes don't count towards her and you win as a write-in, what does the next 4 years look like in Montmorency with you staying in office? What can the voters expect?
I believe we have a strong board. So once again, we'll have a county treasurer's office who gets along with the board well.
Board, you mean?
The Board of Commissioners,
okay.
Yes, I'm sorry. And I think we'll see, continuing to clean everything up and get everything in order, see the budgets that are followed, and held the way they should be. And, we do have a little bit of a challenge for 2025 because of the millage for the county operating extra not passing. But we can handle that. We've saved money in the last 4 years. We've put aside the budget stabilization fund, so something I started when I got there. So that will help. If there's going to be any kind of cut in services, we can cover it with that money this coming year. But yeah, as far as the county treasurer's office, I'll continue to do what I've done as far as foreclosure avoidance and agreements and things like that. And then I'd like to also see something that gives taxpayers more information. Like on our website, I'd like to see more information given as to where they pay their taxes and the questions that we get a lot, especially at current season. Like when July bills come out, they're not sure if they pay them at the township or if they pay them at the county. So I'd like to see that out there in a place where they can ask questions and get their answers.
Now, for people, I guess in closing, who haven't written in someone's name on a ballot, what does that look like? How does someone write someone in? In
every race, you will see an empty spot underneath the names on the ballot. And there will be an oval beside that empty spot. You go ahead and write that person's name in, fill in that oval, make sure that's filled in because that machine won't drop it in the right place if it doesn't. And that's it. You can still vote straight party if you want to vote straight party Republican on there and then turn around and write someone in. That write-in vote trumps the name on the ballot. So.
Well, thank you, Cheri, very much for coming.
We
appreciate you joining us, and thank you very much.
Thank you. You have a good evening.
And we'd like to thank our sponsor, MyPillow. If you're interested in supporting our independent content, please go to mypillow.com and enter promo code Alpina at the checkout. Like I said, that's mypillow.com, promo code Alpina.